I'm your cult boyfriend. I got Jupiter back again. How are you, Jupiter?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a minute. I'm glad we come back, talk about Gilmore Girls,
Yes,
even Stars Hollow.
I'm glad you came back because I had a really good discussion with you months and months ago, and in the back of my head I was like, that's probably the last time I'll talk to that guy, but it was
No,
great.
I am look because I have nobody else. Like I'm never gonna turn down an opportunity to talk about these shows, like ever. Like I don't care. It followers doesn't matter to me, like views, like none of that matters. Like if I get the chance to talk about this stuff, which I'm and there's nobody like out of all like the nerdy people, you'd think like with like the brand that I have, like autistic people like being attracted to it, I'd find somebody and nobody's been able to match my like level of freak when it comes to like these shows besides like you and maybe like one or two other people in my life, but just barely. So
That's the thing I've realized. I'm grateful for like everyone I come in contact with who even comes close to interacting with these teen shows the same way that I do. It makes me feel so good, but it's so puzzling to me that it feels like a small community, like a very small one, at least with the crossover. Like there's a big Gilmore Girls section, but the
right.
Gilmore Girls section might not be into the One Tree Hill. Like it's just confusing that it's so spread out and insular. And I think the few people who watch my videos are just on a level of autistic that just has not been matched. I don't know.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Probably better than any other kind of autism. Or there's like so many, but I guess any like bad form of it, it's probably better than that. It's preferable to be the kind of Dawson's Creek autistic, I guess.
This is
Um,
what people who click on a Gilmore Girls ranking want right at the beginning. It's
yeah.
like you're autistic if you clicked on this.
The last time I think I saw was so actually I wish I bought it because the last time I saw like any Gilmore Girls, it's not hard to find like Gilmore Girls stuff related
Yeah.
stuff out in the wild. Like you go to like a Barnes and Nobles, like I think the last time I saw is when they were running that like anniversary issue. Well now, yeah, they had that and I meant to get it, but I didn't because I wanted to add it to my collection of TV memorabilia. But uh they had the freaking Walmart like Christmas commercial. Uh
Dude.
and they were like, teasing that I think on Instagram, like, oh, like we're back on the set, like shooting something, and it's like a 1 minute advertisement for like a Keurig coffee machine, which I don't think I don't think Luke would ever.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks like, okay, it makes sense that like she's being gifted this little stupid Keurig coffee machine. I hate those machines. I never use them. Like I'm a total like you know coffee nut. Like I have a bunch of friends who are into the coffee stuff, but like I don't know. Part of me feels like Luke would be against something like that. It's like you don't need more like consumerist like buying
Well, yeah,
bullshit.
all of you should feel that way.
Yeah,
Like that's exactly Luke's character. I was so upset that they came back for a fucking Walmart commercial. I thought it was so lame, but Gilmore Girls fans are so starved for anything that they were like,
yes.
"Fuck yes, thank God!" And especially the shippers. They're like Luke and Lorelai together in 2024. So happy to see it. We're both gonna sound dumb though. I didn't make this tier, right? I didn't make this, so and it's been like a while since I watched it, so we're both gonna be like, "Who the hell is that?" Quite a few times, which is
Thankfully, I have the best girlfriend ever who has run me down through the show a million times because she's watched it a million times. So having that in my back pocket kind of helps. But
well.
you know,
Previously, I've done with guests, I've done Buffy and Freaks and Geeks, and in both of those, there were several that we just didn't know about and had to throw on the D tier.
I feel confident about this one. I feel like because I don't know weird things like small characters in the show, like especially with a show like this, they've always seemed to stick with me. I don't know, but
I'm adding an F row because I believe in that.
period. I agree. I agree. There are some F-worthy characters.
Oh, see, I'm boomering it up. There are a lot of F-worthy characters.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, but oh yeah, I'm normally wanting to ask this. Is it your girlfriend who got you into Gilmore Girls? How did you first get into this show?
I this just goes to show like how like I'm so silly, dude. So we met each other, and then I was like, "Yo, like I really like." It's like, "Do you like watch you like do you like watching TV shows?" And she was like, "Yeah, like I'm down to watch like shows with you and whatnot." And I'm like, oh, like what kind of shows do you like? She's like, well, I like a few different shows here and there. She ended up being the person I watched like Glee with and Gilmore Girls and everything. But she was like, okay, you have to watch this show. I love this show. It's my favorite show. I've seen it a million times. It's called Gilmore Girls. And I'm like, and in my mind, I was like, I was mentally confusing it with like Golden Girls. I was like, oh, that's kind of like cringe. Like, I hope I don't have to like sit and watch this show with for you for for like for the rest of my life, if I end up like really loving you. And I do love my girlfriend, but point being, I ended up watching it and I like totally fell in love with it because I was like, oh wow, they're based in Connecticut. Like I grew up there, and like seeing the little hamlets and all the stuff like that, like the town, Hartford and Yale. I was like, wow, I've actually been to these places. Like I have a physical connection to them, and so it hit a lot harder. And then I kind of got attracted to the at first the style of writing was very off-putting to me. I didn't like how wordy it was. I didn't like how kind of cynical, like ironic Gen X coded, like leaning into like millennial territory it felt. But then I watched it more and it just kind of showed me like that it's way more well-rounded than that, and that it has like this deep sincerity that's like hard to find like a lot of other shows. And I just kind of fell in love with it. So
I love the way that it's written. Amy Sherman Palladino, who's the showrunner of it, is a comic genius. I love watching her interviews. She's possibly the most like descriptive and expressive of her craft out of every showrunner that I've seen. She's like Gilmore Girls. She presents it as a comedy forward show, and that Gilmore Girls always honored the beat of comedy. Like I'll never forget like that part of the sentence. It always honors the beat of comedy, and comedy can come in 1,000 different forms. And I remember from the first season, I thought it was like a screwball comedy, so a sex comedy without the sex from the 30s and 40s, but set at the brand new millennium, right? This show started in 2000, and so it
right.
was saying a lot of different things about like how gender has changed, about how times have changed. Yet, like you said, this Hamlet, like Stars Hollow, is like a screwball comedy wonderland. Like it's almost unreal. It's just I love when Paris Geller goes there for the first time and is like, "What the hell is this place? This place is so happy that Frank Capra would vomit," like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like it knows what it's doing. It's so well designed until it isn't, right? Until she kamikazed her own show. But I would say the first 4 or 5 seasons of this show is and I love a Year in the Life, controversially. I love the way that it ended as well. But those first 4 or 5 seasons is brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Gilmore Girls is great. The the dialogue in it is so rapid fire but so clever. Like, oh my god, like when they get on a roll, it's just beautiful, and it's always got a beat to it. That's what I mean, like always honors the beat. Like when you hear the dialogue, it's got a beat to it, and it's so cool just how well this thing was designed, at least composite or writing wise.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's one of these Amy is pulling from this deep well. You could tell that.
Mhm.
I think one of the reasons why I was so turned off with the writing is because you see people trying to knock it off now. The kind of writing she did, like the same kind of like wit and like sharp tongue characters and like doing like irony and kind of cynicism in like a funny way. You see so many writers trying to do that now, and they fail. Um, and you could tell like a lot of that was influence maybe from something like this, where it's done so well. Like it's done in a way where it does really honor the comedic timing and the comedic beat and all of that. And just I mean, just looking at like the movie references, like all the things that are mentioned there, you can tell like she's drawing from such a deep well, to have like that much of an appreciation. She couldn't have written that in unless, she cared about cinema and comedy
Yeah,
and things like that. So, it's something it's hard to find nowadays. It's
they
very
even
rare.
lampooned in the first season. Like I remember this whole episode of Rory becoming like a new Donna Reed, but it's a postmodern lampooning of the situation. It's great, but like the WB had that so hard. Like I can't imagine tuning in to the WB in the year 2000 and you get writers like Amy Sherman Palladino, Joss Whedon, Kevin Williamson, all in the
Right.
same block of like, wow, that's pretty amazing. But we got to jump into this tier, or else we're going to be here for the rest of our lives.
I know we could spend like hours on it.
I know, and we can sprinkle in our overall thoughts as it goes on. There's only 2 rules here. Both of us get 1 veto. So if you feel really strongly about a character that I don't, you can be like, screw you, it's going exactly where I say, and I can do the same exact thing to you. And the other thing is, there's a lot of S tier characters on here. There is, but I want to have a cap at 4 just to make it extremely competitive for the S tier.
That's a great idea. Honestly, I like that.
And that's all. And do you know who this is off the bat?
This is, hold on, let me look.
Because I have a theory that it's her mom.
I think that is, let me look. I think that might be. You might have to double check that real quick if you can open a new tab. That's got to be her mom.
Yes, we should have just gone with me seeming like I knew what I was talking about. It is definitely her. All that work for an F. There's no D tier. Hold on. But all that work for a D or an F tier character. Am I right?
Right. She's I can't remember anything about her character besides the fact that I think she sells like those little like artisanal soaps or whatever, like in the show.
Yeah. There's not much to go into. Trust me, we'll have some insight on the bigger characters, but like, would you get offended if I just put this one in D?
Yeah, she's not memorable. I mean, like she comes in like during like some of the worst, parts of the show, and is just like, oh yeah, you have a daughter, like here you go, like that's it.
When Amy Sherman Palladino started to kamikaze, like destroy her own show, sabotage it, she invented a character called April to ruin Luke and Lorelai for no good actual reason, in my opinion. Did you like April?
I think they could have made the kid a lot worse. Like if she was going down and was like, this is like
I'm not
me
kamikaze
bombing. Like this is me kamikaze bombing Stars Hollow, like everything that you love about it. Like we're throwing it down the toilet. She could have made the kid like a total, jerk brat, anything, whatever, annoying kids were like in the 2000s. That maybe like me, I was one of those. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I think April had some good moments. I think they made it so that watching Luke like traverse like the issues with her was heartwarming at times. I think if I remember correctly, like doesn't she have like a science fair scene, like a science fair?
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember that.
But that's when Luke finds out that's his daughter, because it's like that's what her project was. So like it honored the beat of comedy, but like you're pointing out all these heartwarming moments, and I agree, but I disagree heavily with the story existing in the first place. I have no problem with this kid, especially with the actor. Did wonderfully. I'm just saying that the story was just fucking,
I guess,
just mean to do to the audience who were like pining for Luke and Lorelai for years and years and years and years.
At a certain point, I think, and I was talking about this with my girlfriend in the car. I was like, well, I was thinking about like why they made some of the decisions they did, and I was like, oh well, they had to keep it going because they had this many seasons left. And eventually, like, it got to that point in my mind. I was like, well, because what would they have done between like Jess and Luke, right? Like Luke needed to stay busy in the plot somehow, right? So how else are you going to do that except for writing in some, kind of like bombshell thing like this, I guess, right? I don't know.
I know that she deliberately destroyed her own show in season 6 because WB was turning into the CW, and they were kind of screwing over Amy Sherman Palladino, and she knew that like the show was going to continue even after she quit. And so I think she made it as impossible as possible to save it. I think she destroyed it and then left it to the CW to clean up her mess as best that they possibly could, which wasn't very good. I think Amy was deliberately being very mean. She was not there for season 7. She came back for a year in the life and ended it the way that she intended to, but she left at the very end of season 6. But in season 6, you see the reintroduction of Chris and stuff, like all this shit that we don't need. And I think she was doing all that on purpose to make the CW have a shit show on their hands. The last year of the WB, I think she destroyed the show deliberately as a fuck you to the CW. But then she made a year in life, which is great.
No, of course, yeah, and I agree. And even though, like, it's tough because, like, part of why I think I like these shows so much is like it gives me an escape from modernity. Like, I get to imagine like I'm living in like 2000s, like Stars Hollow, or like I go
Yeah.
back to like 90s Cape Side or whatever, and it's like a little like fun escape for me, and it's why it was kind of like so like hesitant towards like watching Glee, because I was like kind of like I remember being a kid around this time. Like, it's not as much of a fun escape. It just reminds me of like um my own high school experience, I guess. But yeah, I can't blame her at all for that, man. Like, I totally understand that annoying feeling of like, oh, you want to appease, the fans, and like with your creation, like this cool thing that you made, like this cool artistic thing that you made in the whole
Yeah.
world, and having to relate that to like product placement is like just it's a vomit, dude. It's garbage.
And in my opinion, she is like an auteur of television.
100%.
This was her art. This was her project that she was at the helm of since day one. But okay, where do you want to put April?
April, I think, to be fair, we could probably put her above her mother.
Yeah, on the D tier though. That's, I'm sorry. I guess I'm old school in my hate. She was funny.
Babette. Babette.
Babette. Thank you.
There we
There we
go.
go.
Oh, let's go, Babette. Yeah, Babette was cool. Babette was, she did a good job considering the role that she had. It was if she was just supposed to be the cute, kind of like quirky little lady of Stars Hollow, and like talking shit. I think it's like annoying when I don't know if like girls on Twitter do this, but like when they like take the character like from a show like this, like Babette, and they're like, oh, like she's just like me, like I don't know. I think it's like
Right.
annoying when people do that with
They
any
do
kind of
that.
character. Um, but except for when you're like, oh, Paris Geller is like she's so me. Like, I think that's the way you do that is cool. But with Babette, like they try to like overly identify with this like annoying character. Like, I'm like, it makes sense because like most of you are like very annoying and grating. And if I had to spend probably more than, I don't know, 30 minutes with Babette, I'd probably get annoyed too. If I was
Yeah.
going based off of just how her character is in this written world. Um, no, she was cool though. She wasn't like overly quirky or like odd. She just kind of she felt like something that was a little bit more well grounded than like most quirky characters are now, or other quirky characters I can think of. So yeah, I don't think I have anything too bad to say about Babette.
So what are you feeling on the tier?
I think she's solid C tier.
Solid C tier. I like it. Um, this guy in the band, kind of forgettable, but I never had a problem with him. He was
No,
fun.
he was interesting. He was just kind of like a run of the mill, like nerdy character from what I remember. They
I
just
mean,
kind of used him as like a comic foil, I think, within that little
yeah.
setup of the band.
I mean, he's a C tier.
Yeah,
I have no issues with him. So like I think that D and F are like failures, but F is like failure and terrible person
yeah,
probably. C is like it's fine, serviceable, really, adequate.
exactly. C is like it's like they needed to exist within the world just to fill like that role that needed to be played.
Yeah.
And
Right.
D is like even below that. So I totally agree with the way we're rating it so far. Yeah, I agree
I'm
with
glad I just defined what an F character was. Because now we have Chris.
that.
He's my most hated character on the entire show. That shouldn't mean, does that mean he's a bad character to the story? After like season 1 or 2, yes, every time he showed up just hindered the plot, especially everything about Lorelai's progression as a character. He'd show up and we'd take 100 steps back. I don't know if that relates to real life at all. I just feel like he actually hurt the show the more that he appeared within it, especially near the end of his arc. He's fucking just looking at him. He has the
Yeah.
most punchable face I've ever seen. Like he's just awful.
It's funny. I was thinking like, man, like they just needed something to fill in the time before like Lorelai ended up with Luke. But I think the one nice thing about having him in there was an excuse to go to Paris. That's the one redeemable thing I think about his character.
Oh
Outside of
yeah,
the context, it was just fun. Outside of the context of that all, it was fun seeing her go to Paris. Like, that was a cute, well written kind of thing. Like, I liked the fact that they did that. They got taken out of Stars Hollow. I think it was cool seeing that. But I agree with you otherwise.
yeah. I gotta do F. Are
That's
you
fair.
cool with that? Okay, cool.
100%. Yeah. I don't think anybody would hate you for that take.
No, I think he's famously the most hated character on the entire show.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and in real life, I think he's awful too. From what I've been able to pick up on it, the actor was like, women shouldn't be able to vote. Like, like
they
he's really,
they needed someone crazy like that to play that role. Like he was
I
perfectly cast.
know. It's like you're not helping your case at all, man. Like you could be a really cool guy who played a douchebag, but no, you're doubling down on it. This fucking guy?
Dude, that
Dude,
I couldn't even tell you who that. Oh, you know who that might
D.
be?
Who?
Yeah, I think that's maybe the one guy who came up when Rory moved to college and he was like naked in the hallway. I barely was
Oh, he's got college written all over him.
Yeah.
But yeah, D sounds good.
Yeah. That's fair.
Now this fucking cat, I do love Dave. We might be at our first B or A tier character here. I like Dave a lot. Adam Brody did great. This was like season 3, I think. It's the closest thing we ever got to a beautiful Lane Kim romantic story. I'm always torn about it because obviously Adam Brody left unexpectedly to go make teen drama history in the OC as Seth Cohen, and I would have it no other way. But every time I watch or think about this relationship, I'm like, damn, the stuff that could have been, because they really fumbled the ball with Lane almost immediately after Dave left. But I thought that they were so cute together. I thought he was very funny, and yeah, I do love Lane, and I wish we could have got more stuff. But I understand why Adam Brody left. But that does impact the character in so much as he wasn't there very long and didn't get to do a whole lot. And I think a lot of why we love Dave are like the potential is that potential, like what could have been, rather than
Yeah.
what he actually did. But he did do really cool stuff regardless.
He was the one who was like okay, I want to like be Christian for you, right? That
I
was his
read the
character.
entire
Yeah.
Bible last night. I don't know what it
Yes.
means.
So yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that. Like I was thinking the same thing. Like part of why like I think he's so cool is the fact that like we only get so little of him. But yeah, I hate. We'll get to him when we get to him, but I hate that they replaced him. Look, he's not the worst in the world, but I
Oh,
don't like.
this guy.
Yeah, what is his name? Zach.
Yeah, his name's Zach. I feel bad.
Yeah, the character Zach is. I hate that they replaced Dave with Zach. And I hate what they did to Zach in Year in the Life. They make him like a lame dad character where he drops out of the band, and I get it, he has his kids to support or whatever, but yeah, no, Dave was cool. I like that he went all that way to prove his love, and really wanted to go the
And
extra mile for Lane. I loved everything about that relationship. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. So
they had brilliant chemistry. Like I
they
can
did.
see it. It's so nice. A or B, what do you think?
I think well, considering we have an S tier, okay, I'm comfortable with putting Dave in an A tier personally. If you want to put him in B, that's fine. But between A or B, I feel like he belongs there.
You know what? Adam Brody is a fucking teen drama god. I don't care. He's going to the
He
A
is.
tier. He did a lot of
Honestly,
work.
just for that, you're totally right. Like because I go back now and I'm like seeing him pop up in all these different shows, and I'm like, wow, he's goated.
If you haven't checked out the OC yet, give it a couple episodes and you'll be like, Adam Brody, you are Y2K. You did it. You
Oh
did
yeah.
it, buddy. My God. He made fucking Death Cab for Cutie and Bright Eyes cool.
I
Really
can
did.
see that. Yeah, that he screams that just in his whole everything.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dean, who I think is a wonderful character. I understand,
100%.
gotta say Team Jess, but we're not talking about whose team we're on. We're talking
No.
about a well-designed, very conflicted, confrontational, and oftentimes tender character. Dean was amazing, and if I just talked about Adam Brody being teen drama royalty, Jared Padalecki also is. He's intense. He's a legend. This kid was possibly the most conflicted character on the whole show, and in turn, one of the most humanized. Like I know these Deans. I understand Dean. I love Dean. Dean's best moment for me, and we talked about this in our first conversation, like it blew my mind. It was in season 5, so after the whole he's my Dean, cheating on his wife and borderline emotionally abusing her. He was
Right.
talking to Luke, and they were both talking about Lorelai and Rory. And Dean just goes, "You don't get it yet. You and me, we're the same thing. We're the same exact character, and they're gonna love neither of us. You don't get it." And then it just cuts to black, and that's how that episode ends. Of like, Dean has this deep understanding of the narrative around him, or at least by season 5, he understands that he's been demonized by the narrative based on his own actions, and it's weird to and fun and interesting to watch a character actually deal with that. But he starts off, I think, so sweet and kind, but with a lot of problems still. Like a lot, he reminds me of Chris a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and yeah, you put it so perfectly. And yeah, I think that is why people end up saying, having such like a hatred for him, because because he is so real. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way. Like I feel like I know there's so many people I've met in my life that are just like Dean.
Yeah.
And yeah, just brilliantly written kind of character you'd be hard pressed to find in shows nowadays. And yeah, it was so perfect. And going off of what you said with the you know like being aware of like his narrative, like it's so, I don't think I've seen any other show that's reached that same kind of level of I don't know what you call it. It's like meta something, like just
Yeah.
of like being like meta, like I guess like maybe besides like Lost, but like it's just for like a show like Gilmore Girls, like it's so brilliantly done. And yeah, no, I think he's so well built to be hated, but like you almost like love it because like it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant character.
And for me, it's almost impossible to hate him entirely because Jared does have this great charisma to him. It's easy to hate
100%.
him when he's standing next to Milo or Jess. It's easy. But
Yes.
when he's on
Yeah.
his own, it's fine. Like I get what he's doing. And season 4 and 5 are really complicated for Dean. Not going to college, getting married way too young, deciding that he's so disenchanted and despondent, and like he disassociates throughout that and comes back to life in a great moment of unfaithfulness with Rory, but that gives him like this newfound awful sense of purpose. Like it's so
Right.
hard to, he's so, I don't know, real for that.
No,
But
he's
like
real as hell. Yeah.
so he's top of the A tier at least for me.
100%. 100%. I mean, I couldn't imagine. Um, I mean, I don't know if we're reserving S tier for just like the absolute most lovable. Like there's no, because I mean, every character has a flaw in this show, but I mean, to me, there's no Gilmore Girls without Dean. Like he is so like it just wouldn't be the same show.
Oh, as a character, I like him more than even Lorelai. Like as a character to interact
Yeah,
with. Like I'm not opposed to moving people around. I just know we have to be conservative about the S tier. That's all. But
that's fair.
also Jess. Jess is a big deal. So,
That's true. That's true.
but I'm actually gonna pop off for a second. I don't like Doyle. Doyle's funny, but like Paris Geller is one of my all-time favorite characters in fiction, probably, and certainly my favorite one of the show. I was so annoyed that after her first boyfriend at Chilton, all we got from her were these fucking comic relief boyfriends, like the really old man in college, and then fucking Doyle. Like this, it's just comedy. There's no true tenderness to anything. And I'm like, but Paris, Liza Wilde can totally handle it. Like she handled it in Chilton, but we never, it's just bullshit. It's just not even like I want to see actual romance and sensitivity from a Paris Geller relationship. Doyle's funny, sure, but that's all he is. It's all he is. I I hate him in the sense I put him at the D tier because he hung around for so goddamn long, and I don't think he offered anything to Paris. There were a couple scenes. There were a few scenes. Like I think when Doyle was sick and Paris was like apprehensive about caring for him while he was sick because it would mean that she cared about him in a way that she wasn't like she was too guarded or something and didn't want to be vulnerable for that. You know what I mean? I think that happened. But so far as like an actual relationship, like Paris never got a Dave Rogalski. Like she never
No.
actually got a real suitor, like a real person that people can go, oh, this is cute. She was treated um almost like Rory's version of Kirk a lot, and that pissed me off. But I don't know. What do you I'd put him at D because he's symbolic of what annoys me about what they did with Paris romantically.
All those points are valid. I never thought about it until you put it like that. They never he never gets like a Dave, or sorry, Paris never gets like a Dave kind of relationship, which is so true. You think she would, considering how much
Yeah.
time she spends in the show. That being said, I don't know. Well, if you zoom out and you look at how Paris, well, okay, it's in the reboot where she has that moment where I think she's going to give a speech at Cheltenham and she has a breakdown, right?
Yes.
Okay.
She's still like, yeah, you go on. It's just brilliant. That's a brilliant
No,
moment.
right. So, and I agree with you. It's a brilliant scene. I guess in the long run, it kind of makes sense that she has such weird, up and down, unorthodox kind of relationships. Because if you look at where she ends up, like in that reboot, she ends up having this like ridiculous job with like uh and ends up having this like crazy breakdown. So it does feel like it's still kind of like following that same string, if it makes sense, of just like um her character kind of doing like weird, crazy, unconventional things, even though she's like very smart and like very like, I don't know, like maybe like type A would be like the best way to put it. I'm always at a loss for words when it comes to describing people, but um it definitely makes sense. And I'll say this: at least I was never like I for knowing that like the relationship is going to be humor, like and that he perfectly balanced out like Paris comedically. I think it worked out really well. I was never like thinking about it from the perspective of, oh, I want more like dynamic range. I was just kind of content. I think because it might have been, I don't know, I don't know how it would have looked considering Rory was going through all her relationship stuff too, but it just felt like a nice balance in my perspective. Um, so and he never annoyed me that bad. I would see him as more of like a C tier character, and I did get a lot of it. There were a lot of humorous moments, and I did really enjoy it
There were.
in that regard.
I was so devoted to Paris though that eventually I
I get
was
it.
watching the Paris Geller show with the Gilmore Girls in the background. Like
Yeah,
I was watching for her arc. I'm glad you brought up that damn bathroom scene because she always feels like the incredible invisible girl. But what triggers that? Like seeing Tristan Dugray there, like an actual one of the more tender attractions that she had when she was younger, not and it devolved into meaninglessness with Doyle. But I'm comfortable putting him at the end of the C tier.
I think we could do that. We could do that.
Okay.
That feels fair. Yeah.
Ugh, who the fuck?
Who's this person right here?
I'm not looking it up. I mean, I'll just put her at the D tier. Was there someone who played a harp all the time?
Oh, she's the harp lady. She was in the original inn um Lorelai used to work at, and yeah, she holds no importance. Like it's just like a meme that she was put there. Um, that's so crazy. If I didn't like rewatch like part of the first season like a few weeks ago, I don't think I'd even remember her. That's crazy.
Emily Gilmore.
I love Emily
I love her
so
too.
much. I love Emily. I love Richard. Richard's actor too is really fantastic and a lot of
Yeah.
other stuff he's been. But um, yeah, Emily, I love the. I love all like the different arcs she goes through. I love the different story. I'll say this. I love the I love her storyline. I love her character. I love all the drama surrounding her between her and Richard. I think with Emily, I think Emily is an undervalued aspect of the show, and you'd think it would get more attention because she's Lorelai's mom, and without her, there would be no. Friday night dinners. There'd be,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be so much of the show. Um, it gets slept on. It gets slept on. I really love her character and the different arcs she goes through and all of that. I think it's fantastic.
A lot of the complexities that I saw within Paris, I saw within Emily as well. They're very similar.
Yeah.
And I've always loved Emily. I thought she was great. Uh, Gilmore Girls loves to run a joke into the ground. I remember getting so fucking annoyed by how she never bothered to learn her housekeepers' names because she fired them like all the time. It was
Right.
just fucking annoying. But I do like her a lot. Like, what are you thinking? A or B or
To
S?
me, I'm tempted. We can always move her to S. I'll say A. It's just the fact that well, to be fair though, if you've ever been around old people for long enough, you'll definitely see that like they never learn anything. Like they're so stuck in their ways and they're annoying as hell. So I think they did that pretty accurately.
Sure.
Um,
I like Dean more than her though.
mm, I don't know. I almost love her more than Dean. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but I
You
love
know
her
what?
Emily so
You're
much.
you're the guest. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Brilliant. Okay, that's great.
She was fine.
Yeah, yeah. I think she was just like a side character
Yeah.
in high school. So easily forgettable. Yeah, like she's again just kind of there to like fill up space. Whatever.
Serviceable. For some reason, I always forget Sebastian fucking Bach was such a major part player in this show.
Yeah.
Like, did he even know what he was doing there? I have no idea. I like him. He's funny.
Yeah. No. The fact that he's in there is just hilarious. Oh, it's
What
funny because
what hair metal band is he from? I always forget. It's like Skid. Is it Skid Row? Is it something like that? Let me look it up. I
I'm
don't
the music
know.
person. I should know. I forget. But he was in an episode of Trailer Park Boys, and I remember him more
Skid
for
Row.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skid. Yeah, he was part of that. He was in an episode of Trailer Park Boys, which I remember him for more than I think him being in Gilmore Girls. But yeah, he was serviceable. He was funny. Honestly, yeah, it was so weird that he ended up being part of the band. But I'm not complaining. He was funny. He
It was
added like a
weird.
cool
Yeah.
vibe. Yeah, it
I
was
like
weird.
I like the vibe so much. I mean, I'm down with top of C for now.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
just refreshing, and it was great seeing him in Stars Hollow. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing?
No, I mean, yeah, considering the whole style of the show, like seeing someone like him, like be in the show and like him fitting with like, the writing so well, like it was a surprise. It was nice. So,
Ah,
oh yes, the mechanic lady. I forget her name.
I forget her name too, but she was fun. Look, we're looking. There are so many people who are just serviceable. Like, okay, Stars Hollow is a really colorful kind of place, and a lot of these people just served their function, and most of them were like comedic, and it's kind of hard to find the sensitivities within like
Yeah,
minor comedy characters sometimes. Like both of these people, I think. Well, maybe he's the Chilton principal, but I think these are both like equally like C level serviceable, nice to see whatever kind of
yeah.
characters that we can't really analyze, but
No, yeah. I mean, they're really just they come in to be there, and I'm trying to remember something about her character. Yeah, the best way to put it is that they're maybe more her than the principal of Chilton, but they're truly like little NPC RPG characters that you
Mhm.
find in an RPG. You'll go up to and talk to. Like they serve a purpose, and that's pretty much it. And you can't complain much otherwise. So
But like we're trying to provide insight, but C tier is serviceable. Like there's nothing about the principal or the mechanic lady that's like disappointing or straight up abysmal. Like they're
yeah,
fine. This guy, married to Suki, um, is a C tier again for me. I don't know. I don't care. I didn't like him.
Jackson. Yeah,
Jackson,
Jackson.
yeah.
Okay, Jackson. I think I want to say something on Jackson. I think yeah. See, I do love Jackson. I think he's a great character. Um, it was funny seeing his quirks. He's another character who feels real, but like I'm not like
Yeah.
I'm not like oh like I'm so like it's more like it's unfortunate that like people like Jackson kind of like exist IRL. I think is when I think of Jackson. Um, it's just kind of I don't know it because how do I say it? Jackson's character feels real insofar as that I've seen couples that are similar to Sookie and Jackson, and it just reminds me of I don't know, like annoying like husbands and wives that like I've met
Yeah,
in the
it's
past,
just
but
not
like
very compelling.
yeah, it's not
I
compelling.
I know over all the years that they were married, there were like dramatic parts with them together, but once again, I feel like Sookie was sidelined mostly for Lorelai's investigations of
Yeah.
Lorelai's character. So it's just not very compelling to me. I mean, to me, he's C tier. You can put him at B if you want.
Yeah, I don't think I ever wanted more from Sookie's character than what we got. I don't think I ever wanted more
Yeah.
from Jackson. Jackson, um, it was nice having him in the show, but yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything. Yeah, I didn't want more from it. It was just, it wasn't compelling. Yeah, not much to say.
So you think C or B?
Definitely C.
Below Sebastian Bach. Just seeing that dude on a
Yeah.
tier makes me smile. It's ridiculous. Controversially, I liked Digger. I liked Digger quite a bit.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And there are a lot of reasons why I like him. I like that he basically was in corporate warfare with Lorelai's dad and loses, right? I like that, right? He lost. Like, I'm not misremembering that. Like, he was humiliated by Richard.
I think might have to do some research on that. I'll say this: no, Digger is great. It says so much about Gilmore Girls, the fact that they took a character who would have otherwise would have just been like because I don't know, like I feel like a show nowadays might take a character like Digger and might make him kind of this like low grade, like oh just stereotypical, rich daddy's boy, like just kind of came from that world, doesn't know much. Uh,
Yeah,
Else other than that. But the fact that they gave him depth, they gave him
they
like a
did.
real character, like they gave him um like a deeper dimension than you would get otherwise. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, I really enjoyed his character. I there's a few episodes which I really loved with him, like when him and Lorelai have that date in the supermarket. Um, I really liked his character. I think Digger was great, and I think the
It was
drama he
great.
had
And
was
I have
great.
like maybe like additional reasons why I love his inclusion so much. Played by Chris Eigman. My favorite films on the planet is they comprise what's called the Doomed Bourgeois in Love trilogy by Whit Stillman, and he's like in every single one of them. And that dialogue is very similar, like the way they pontificate, or even the comedy of those pieces, is very similar to what Amy Sherman Palladino would do. So seeing Chris Eigman perform Amy Sherman Palladino's dialogue at rapid fire speed and like keeping up or even outpacing Lorelai a lot of the times. It was just so cool, and he is like a Whit Stillman character. And we're kind of because he would play these doomed or damned yuppies basically in those movies, and he's exactly that in the
Yeah.
show. But he's got such a big sensitivity of my heart broke for him a little bit. Like I did like Digger a lot. Of course, like you don't want any more superficial fans to get upset. Like I'm Team Luke all the way. It's just
Oh
Digger
yeah.
was a great exploration of maybe that part of Richard even that that was killed in a large way, like emotionally. Like I see a lot
Yeah.
within Digger. See a lot within Lorelai's attraction to Digger. I like Digger. I think he can be our first B candidate. Like he's very good.
100%. 100%. Yeah, it was I loved seeing Digger and Lorelai play off of each other. Like it was just it
Yeah.
really was like addicting to watch. It was great. They balanced out each other so well. And I don't know, cuz you do feel like after a while like there's no I don't know, there's men who come into Lorelai's life who, introduce ups and downs, but Digger just felt like I don't know, it was like challenging Lorelai's character but like in a fun way without
Hmm.
like any kind of like ridiculous I don't know, without any feeling of like melodrama or like oh like this again, It felt like very yeah, it just felt different. So
And I love Chris Eigman. I mean, you hate those literally me things, but watch Doom Bourgeois in Love. Every time I see one of his fucking characters, I'm like, yeah, sadly, literally me.
no, I feel that. Trust me, I have literally me characters too. Dawson Leary. No, I'm just kidding.
Jess was literally me when I was an edgy 15-year-old. But okay, Jess is awesome. Jess is great. We all love Jess.
I'll say this. I was such a contrarian and like so much more of an asshole when I started watching Gilmore Girls compared to now. I've changed so much. Like it sounds silly, but like it was years ago. At least two. I want to say yeah, like 2 years ago. And stuff changes over the course of 2 years, like anybody. But at first I was such a contrarian. I was like man, I hate Jess and I love Dean. Like, you know, just because I don't know, again, it was just something that like I felt like I was like seeing through his archetype and I was like, oh fuck, I hate these like bad boy characters. Like they're so like lame. I feel like I know everything about him. Like I just I hate how he's like such a brat. Like I hate how he's disrupting this otherwise like, you know, just like little universe of Stars Hollow. And then eventually I grew to love that.
That's why it was necessary, though, to
Yeah.
disrupt the nauseatingly sentimental world of Stars Hollow exactly when he showed up. And it wasn't like crazy bad boy stuff. It was like
No.
minor vandalism and smoking cigarettes, like as rebellious as Gilmore Girls would allow.
Yes.
And he's just such a sweetheart to me. Well, I'm going to relate everything back to Paris Geller, the queen. I love the only scene he ever had with her where they're doing like literary theory, like at rapid speed with each other. And she makes fun of him about Bukowski, and then he goes, I think Jane Austen would have loved Bukowski. And they go into
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so fucking cool. And oh, Paris is even giving him heart eyes at that moment. This kid was great. I love the kind of, well, so far as Rory goes, I like the liberation that he seemed to represent, the kind of anti-conformity he seemed to represent for her, and I also love the way that he never stopped believing in her, and like in almost the most down bad way possible. Like he knows. I mean, he eventually goes on to be like a great writer and that those kinds of things, but he knows that Rory's special. At least he thinks that Rory's special and believes in her in a different sort of way than I feel Dean does, who eventually holds her back or wants to hold her back from her full potential. And also, you know, Milo's dreamy. Like, what else is there to say there? Like, the kid was great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, Milo is so crazy. Like looking back at that time. But what can I say about him? I had a thought on the tip of my tongue. He is I was having this debate earlier. I was thinking like there's so many fans who would have loved for Rory to end up with Jess.
Yeah,
I think it's better that she didn't. I don't know, maybe because like it fuels more of like my hate boner for Rory. But um, yeah, I mean, Jess is an excellent character. Um,
it's. I
he,
love that you brought that up. It's almost like Gilmore Girls was designed to have the audience yell at the screen, like it's a sports game of like,
yeah,
just go to him, like you know, like that kind
exactly.
of
Like
stuff.
part of what's so great about him is the fact it's almost the fact that like he didn't end up because I don't know, maybe it would have left open the door for like more like possibility to find him. There would have been more of a possibility to find him annoying if he did end up with Rory. There's something so good about it, the fact that like he's this fantastic character and that he doesn't end up with her. Almost yeah, like it makes you like keep watching. It makes you like stay invested. And yeah, he's like this weird, sensitive. Yeah, like, I guess
Hmm.
they call him like a sensitive young man character nowadays. But yeah, I don't know because I feel like it's kind of like a little bit of a meme for like young guys and like Bukowski, but they gave him a depth and they made it like deeper than
Yeah.
just him. They could have played it off so actually I'm not sure Amy could have played it any other way than the way she did, but yeah, I think Jess was
She played
brilliant.
it wonderfully, and I love the dynamic with Luke. I thought there are all these secret sensitivities between these two guys who like kind of refuse to show it, but they wear all their emotions on their sleeve anyway.
Yeah.
Like it was so cute. That's one of the reasons also that April is such a disagreeable plot for me, because I saw what Luke would be like as a father through him taking care of Jess as well. Like I already saw that. Like it, whatever. Any chance for me to criticize April, I guess I'll take it. Now the hard question: where does Jess go?
I think he's easily got a break into S tier. He's
It
easily got a
might
break into
be.
S tier.
I think if we didn't, Gilmore Girls fans would track us down. But there's no guarantee that he'll stay there, guys.
Real. Jess. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about him. I don't know. I just he deserves so much. Like it's so it's so weird that like such a
Well,
lovable
I
part
think
of
he
the show.
goes straight up to S because he is that that idealized form. Like if you're like he's a great thing for young girls to like dream of and fantasize over. He's like an interesting kind of symbol of that, and has come to be symbolic of a very specific Y2K era kind of masculinity, of heartthrob. And I think it's interesting to interact with shows in that way too.
No, you're right. No, that actually that's such a valid point, because I don't know if you'd see his. I don't know. Everything feels like he feels like such like a good. He feels like kind of He doesn't feel like like a pseudo intellectual kind of grating, annoying kind of boy. He feels so well balanced. Like, it is like you're very idealized. It's great. And now it just you feel like it's so I don't know. You just don't see a character like that anymore, man. Like, it's so weird.
No.
Like, and with the way things are nowadays, and the way, like, being an intellectual guy is kind of spun off into like so many weird. There's so many weird different kinds of like intellectual guys online now. Like, uh, whether it's like autistic or like racist, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen on my side of the internet. But like, we usually, when I think about intellectual guy, it's like either guy who reads too much and is like super nerdy autistic, or like it ends up on some racist shit, or like, I don't know. Like, Jess just feels like so refreshingly
Yes.
like well balanced. So yeah,
There is like a hidden political commentary to a lot of not a lot of Gilmore Girls, at least in the Chilton part. Because whenever I see him, maybe that's why I love that Paris Geller scene so much. He not only holds his own with her, but he makes her think in a different way too. Like, if he was afforded the same opportunities as a Paris or a Rory, you know, could have a
yes,
different outlook entirely. Of course, like I said, I want to say he became a writer, but even that I think was highly inspired by just his interactions with Rory, and just he
yes.
was clearly in love with her and down bad and
No,
loved
you put it perfectly, and actually that's the biggest point I think I was going to say about Jess. I'm so glad the show didn't put Rory and Jess together, because it just feels um like it follows that like undercurrent of like kind of that like political theme like the show has, that plays like it goes throughout the whole show like very quietly, but it handles it like very well. And it makes more sense for Rory to end up with someone like who did she end up with? Why am I blanking on his name?
Logan.
Yeah, it makes more sense that Rory would end up with someone like Logan than with Jess. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And we've
Uh,
gone over, like, originally she was designed to end up with Tristan,
mm, damn.
which would have been, oh, I would have loved to see a Milo versus fucking Chad scene, but that was that was robbed from us. But no, I think exactly what you're saying is correct.
Yeah.
Jess, he does so many interesting things, like accidentally interesting things. Like, we talk about him being a bad boy, but the show pokes holes in that and like shows the cute kind of phony thing about he gets his ass kicked by a swan,
Yeah.
or even
Yeah.
the accidental things that he does, like Rory gives or Dean gives Rory like a bracelet or something that he like steals accidentally, not knowing it was him, and then he's even the one who destroys the car that Dean built for her. Like, it's almost showing how like Dean is, not deliberately, but he's like objectifying Rory's place within his life, and then also not deliberately, Jess is destroying all of those like objectifications of like the objects of Dean's love. Like, he's destroying the actual physical objects of Dean's love for her, which I think Dean would just think that his love for her is very like objectionable and objectifying at the same time. Like, there's a lot of interesting things that are going on specifically with Jess and Dean, in my opinion. Kirk, I will say this, you'd think that he'd go by the C tier because he's like purely comedy, but he transcends this C tier. Like,
I
the
agree.
guy is fucking wild. He's B tier material. I think if I rewatched the show, I would be looking forward to every Kirk moment. He's completely psychotic, and yeah, if Gilmore Girls honored the beat of comedy, then he was the show's resident comedian. He was the clown of the show, and I think that's
100%.
important.
And they juiced everything out of his character. Like, they gave him that little silent film. They made him do like everything. Like, he was like a repairman. He was, like the
Mm-hmm.
mailman. Like, he was everything. Yeah. It was just that was he was the comedic playground for that show, man. It was brilliant.
I love seeing Gilmore Girls fans and comments of like trailers or scenes from like really pretentious avant-garde films. You'll see a Gilmore Girls fan say a film by Kirk Gleason. Like, you're like, damn, roasted. Lane, complicated thoughts about Lane. I would love to put Lane at the A or S tier, but I'm completely unable to because the show, for half of Lane's story, almost character assassination, almost destroyed her character, didn't do anything interesting with her season 5 and up. I love Lane. I think that for half of her character, she's A or S tier, but the other half of her character is just so excruciating to watch.
I agree. And
Not
she
because of her
didn't
being
deserve it.
annoying, but because of what they made her go through.
100%, 100%. I feel so bad. She deserves such a better ending. I love Lane's character so much. I feel so bad about what they did to her, and it's so disappointing. Yeah, and I resonate with her too because of the whole like being a music nerd and everything. Like I would love seeing her bring up bands and talking about her love for
That was
music.
such a heartwarming moment. Like when we first see Lane, she's skanking to a Time Bomb by Rancid, and then like 5 seasons later she's playing it on a stage like for a
Yeah,
bunch of people. That's such a cool fucking moment, and that's maybe the last time. Should have just had Lane leave the show at that point then if we were gonna fucking impregnate her with like quadruplets or whatever we did.
right.
But I would say top of the B tier.
Oh yeah, I agree.
She could have been so awesome. Underrated character here, Dean's wife. Thought she did extraordinarily well. Underrated insofar as, I mean, I'd put her at the top of the C tier, but she was really sad and really sensitive, and it was difficult to watch some of the scenes with her when Dean was being rather cruel to her. I'd put her at top of the C tier. What about you?
Yeah, it makes sense that she'd end up with someone like Dean, but it doesn't make it any less sad that what happened happened.
Yeah.
It's so funny, man. Amy just knows how to like write, like how to pull characters that are like so like she knows how to pull personalities that are so like 21st century out from reality into her written world. It's crazy.
Mm.
Like the fact that like it resonates so well still, like people that or you'll see on the streets nowadays, or that you'll meet in your real life now. It's so crazy the way she was able to do that, and she's one of those characters, like many of the other characters here. Yeah, it's weird. It's so trippy how she did that.
She's also low key like unrecognized teen drama royalty. She had a cool role in Vampire Diaries and like John Tucker Must Die and a bunch of other stuff, but never really got her flowers, I'm afraid. I don't know what the fuck this is.
This is not TJ's wife, is it? I think that is TJ's wife.
Jupiter, who's TJ? Who's TJ?
TJ being Luke's brother, I think.
Luke has a brother.
Look that up. Or Luke's family. You know what I'm talking about.
No,
They
I'm
have
not
that
saying
whole
it like
wedding.
you're wrong. I'm saying it like, holy fuck, block this out of my memory.
Yeah, I swear, if you look it up, it'll come back to you. Because they have that whole Renaissance wedding. She's like a Renaissance.
Oh, wow. Yep, that's him. That's her. Yeah. Okay, I forgot he existed. I don't care.
I think. Well, I'll say this. Yeah. The he was annoying. Because that was Luke's sister's. No, it's not Luke's brother. I'm sorry. Luke's sister's
That makes more
boyfriend.
sense. Yeah.
It was Luke's sister's boyfriend. Luke's sister is a great character, plays off of Luke's personality. Like I love seeing the tension between Luke, like this kind of like harder, more like an emotional rock kind of character, and then his sister, who's just this like, oh come on, Luke, like open up a little bit, like learn to have a heart. I loved seeing like the play between the two of them, and her husband, that character, he has like a lot of funny moments in the show, but it's like nothing spectacular. He is definitely very funny, I'll say that. But it's just it never felt like too funny. Like it was never like, oh, like I don't know, like it was that like a shining like humorous role. It was just kind of like, oh, that's cool, but nothing like to remember, I guess. I don't know.
Now that you say sister, I remember it a lot more clearly. It's still a little fuzzy in my head, but are you saying C tier? Or are you saying B?
No, definitely C tier, I'd say. I think his sister belongs to go into the C tier.
Logan Huntsberger.
Logan's interesting. What do you have to say about Logan?
Never had a whole lot to say about Logan. I liked him when he was first introduced. There was a really cool kind of to me picture perfect moment when they have like the umbrellas above their heads and they're jumping down. Like I really liked that. What I have to say about Logan is that he's a poor substitute for Tristan Dugray. I don't I never really took Logan seriously, but I am in the vast minority, and I can't tell if it's because fucking Taylor Swift wrote a song about Logan or not, but like everyone loves Logan, and I do not know why. Uh, if I if I compare him to Tristan, to Jess, or to Dean, he's almost remarkably uninteresting to me.
Yeah, yeah. I just give me a second, or give me a refresher on Tristan again, real quick.
Tristan was Chad Michael Murray in the first season, where he was a rich
Oh,
guy at Chilton,
that's right.
and
Okay.
and Chad has come forward with what my theory always was that he was designed to be Logan, like Rory was going to end up with him, like he was supposed to be in it through the whole thing, and yeah,
Oh, damn, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, they could have gotten way more out of Chad Michael Murray. That
yeah,
character would have been way better developed, a way better character than Logan is. Yeah. I don't know if that would have ever allowed for the opportunity. I mean, well, that being said, though, I don't think he would have played as well into the whole like secret society thing where like they have that whole umbrella scene, which is a great scene. But yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I mean Logan, it makes sense that Rory uh that they it makes sense that him and Rory end up with each other. I think in my head, like I think of Logan, that's the first thing that pops into my mind. I don't think Rory would have ended up with anybody else. Um,
mm,
just knowing her character, like knowing who she is, and her own issues, like it makes sense that she ends up with him. Um, Logan, yeah, I mean, I don't know what is there to his character. Like he ends up going off. Doesn't he like leave for like a minute? I can't even remember that much about it.
yeah. Well, his character is just poor little rich boy version 2.0, only without any of the like to me, like I don't know. I'm sorry for moving that guy around. Charisma and conflictedness and almost, dude. Every time I see him, I'm just reminded of what could have been with Tristan,
Yeah,
and he doesn't come close to matching. Like Tristan was straight up fucking unpredictable. Like I
it
Logan
probably
though,
was.
like
Yeah,
is he like a bad character though, or do I just not like him? I mean, I do think he's a poor facsimile or a reproduction of Tristan Dugray, and it's kind of a lazy way for Amy to pick up, like the arc that she was originally going to do in the first place. You know, like oh, I don't have Chad anymore, so I'll just invent this guy who's down to like the light. Or light brown or like blondish hair. Like I'll invent the exact kind of guy again.
right.
Um,
Yeah, I'll say this. I think. Well, I don't think you're crazy. No, I think it probably does have something to do with this whole Taylor Swift thing because I don't know what it
yeah,
is about. Like, thinking about how crazy those fans are in the first place, and like thinking about like that world they inhibit. Like, it makes sense they'd fall for such like a mid character as Logan. No, the fact that you put it so well with like a poor facsimile, like he's just mid, he's middle of the road. Like it's not,
yeah.
it's poor little rich boy. I guess given like a better understanding to why I think it makes sense that she ends up with Rory is because I don't know. There's something so like vapid about Logan that you see them ending up with each other, and it's like, oh yeah, like it makes sense that like this
Yeah.
annoying character like Rory would end up with someone who's like kind of like vapid and like middle of the road as like Logan. I don't know. Is it weird that it makes sense to me? Like I don't know how to
No, it
describe
makes
it or like
sense.
explain it, but yeah, it's
It makes sense. It just would have been even more beautiful here. Like in the one season we got at Tristan, he tried to fight Dean like two different times, two or three different times. And the
yeah.
camera, it always has this thing, or at least whenever Amy's actually directing it, it has what I call like a beautiful symmetry to it, or like an adorable symmetry where these two characters would be here, then a third would be in the distance there to make almost like a triangle. But the third one is always like kind of about to disrupt what's going on. And he would often be featured watching Dean and Rory like that. And also
Mhm.
the political commentary of Tristan going to war with Dean. It's like the working class versus the elite, the upper echelon. Like it was, you didn't do too much of that with Logan at all. I might irritate people by saying I don't mind putting him at the top of the C tier or at the top of the D tier, honestly, because I don't get anything with him that I didn't get with Tristan.
Yeah, I think, and I never thought about it from that lens, from the lens of the character of Tristan, but I agree. I would be comfortable putting him with D, just because of how cheap of a copy he is. Yeah, I think that's really valid, honestly.
The definition of a C tier character.
I love him. I love him. I love how much of a pain in the ass he is throughout the whole series. He's just so he's kind of cunty. I like him.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But at the same time, does he does he belong with? He's not Kirk level of comedy, though.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But he's very good.
No, he is great. Yeah, he's great.
Where would you put her? Where would you put her? The Lorelai Gilmore.
Let me think about this. This is what I'm about to say is kind of like more. Okay, let me think about this. Lorelai is. I'm so conflicted. There was one tweet I read from Jack the Perfume Nationalist, and he said something. It was more about like how annoying Gen X and millennial. I think it was about millennial women, how annoying millennial women can be. Older millennial women. I think it's more fair to. Right. So she is more. I think she's technically more of like a Gen X, as opposed to like I don't know what you could classify her as. I think she's more Gen X than millennial. Point being, everybody knows a kind of girl like Lorelai. And
Point being, we know girls who wish they were Lorelai, and it's even more annoying.
That's incredible to me that anybody would ever want to wish to be like her, like personality wise, like how like kind of sarcastic and like irony saturated, considering how much of that she is. And you think about her character and you think about people like that in real life. And you're like, man, this is like incredibly grating, and like I just can't stand being around these people. That being said, I think compared to Rory, she is a better character.
I'm the opposite. I think Rory is way more interesting, and I think Rory is allowed to do offensive, disagreeable betrayals because she's fucking 19. Whereas when Lorelai does it, girl, you act more immature than your teenage daughter a lot of the time, and I'm just supposed to just think that Rory's worse than you somehow. I don't understand that.
I kind of like it for that reason, though. I don't know, because it just feels like, I don't know, like I see so many adults act in the same immature way as her, and maybe it's just because now we're living in a post Lorelai society. Maybe that's why it makes it more, you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's why it makes it more enjoyable for me. So because now it's like it doesn't even come as a surprise. Like it's like, and so when I watch Lorelai's character, it's just pure comedy to me, because it almost feels like satire, like how the world is now. So I don't know.
But like, to me, the most disagreeable thing her character did was like, how many times she went back to Chris and how often she broke Luke's heart.
Oh, of course.
But that to me is vastly less interesting than Rory's big, sleeping with Dean thing. Like that was amazing. That was actual teen drama too. Like that was real. That was awesome. Rory's a terrible person, but to me, she's the Gilmore Girl. She's amazing to me. But I would be so fucking dumb if I put her anywhere other than like, where do you think she should go? Like,
I think, okay. I mean,
Lauren Graham, phenomenal performance, by the way.
for sure. I mean, there would be, again, there would be no show without her and Rory. There's
I
a Gilmore
know.
Girls, like that's
Like
it. Well, technically, you could skew it and be like, there's Emily and Lorelai, or those are the two true Gilmore Girls to me. I don't know. I'm talking out of hate for Rory, but
it's
look,
Rory and her ego. Those are my two Gilmore Girls.
yeah. I mean, where do you think? Do you think it's an S tier character or an A tier character? Where do you think that she belongs?
That's what I'm saying. It'd be crazy if I put her anywhere lower than A, no matter
Yeah,
all
I
the
think.
problems I have with her.
Yeah.
Well, we only have Jess hanging out there. And like we already know I'm gonna fight for Paris in there. And then the other two are kind of up in the air still.
Let's just put
And
her. Yeah, let's put her in S tier then. Why not?
not above Jess though.
Yeah.
Above
No way.
Jess. Oh no, we could put her above. Like, dude, I don't know. Like you said, like, it's so conflicting. It's like putting Dawson Leary anywhere less than an S on him. It's the shows wouldn't exist without her.
Yeah,
She's
of
great.
course.
And I think she's really important for Amy Sherman Palladino personally. Like it's wild watching interviews with Amy because speaks in the same exact speech pattern. Like Lauren must have modeled her performance after Amy's. Like this is almost the truest self-insert that I've
I was
seen
gonna say
in a show.
it totally
It's
makes
her
sense.
stream of consciousness. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that earlier because I was thinking like, man, like I wonder how she is in interviews, like if she's exactly like Lorelai. So the
She's
fact that you say
exactly like Lorelai.
that's so funny. That's
And
just what writers do, they
yeah,
just write about themselves.
Lorelai destroying something at the very it's Lorelai would do exactly what Amy did by destroying the show before she left.
It's great.
Um C tier character, not a whole lot to say about her.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Um,
Okay, the next one is a C tier character, but I have what us millennials call a crush on Kristen Ritter. I don't so I don't know what to do right now. I mean, obviously she's a C tier character, but she is Kristen Ritter, which for some reason makes it different in my head. But I'll be grown up and just put her in the C tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's too like grating of a character, I think, to belong anywhere else. I get it. Look, I don't think we really all Zoomers had growing up was cartoons, so that's why we're all in like love with cartoon girls and stuff like that. But yeah, I get it. I get
All
it.
we had was dark hair and bangs. That's
Well, at least you had like a real 3-dimensional person. So
that's true. That's so Luke S tier Danes, as I
yeah,
like to call him.
dude, Luke is such a I don't know what it is about Luke, man. Like he's just
Oh, now this top four is getting tricky.
well, between okay that and Paris Geller, that's solid. I feel like.
I like Rory more than Lorelai.
I don't know. See, this is where we conflict. I don't know. I could still pull out that veto on you,
I
but
can too. What if we?
I know. Yeah, so we balance each other out. Um.
Oh, we'll deal with it when we get there. Where are you, Rory? She's down there. We'll get to it near the end.
Yeah. But about Luke, like Luke, man, like I love a good like curmudgeon character. Like I love a character that's just like, leave me alone. Like I just want to be left to my devices. Like, and he's so perfectly dropped off in like Stars Hollow, where like everybody has a thing. Like everybody, like has like this own like little universe, and is so like, I don't know. He's just like he's like a Grinch, man. Like he's just he's so perfect in that regard, and I love him. So
Basically, he's like every guy if they were forced to live in Stars Hollow,
yeah,
Like, it'd be so fucking annoying, yet you'd still have that kind of pride, because there's that
exactly.
sensitivity, there's that tenderness, and goddamn, the way he's in love with Lorelai just warms my heart all over. Their first kiss outside of that inn, I clapped. I actually clapped and waiting for it for so long. I love Luke so much. My God.
Yeah,
There's not a whole lot to analyze because he is just simply and purely, almost organically, the most lovable character on this entire show.
I,
The
I
easiest to
swear,
root for.
I swear, only a woman could write a guy that well. I think
Exactly.
it's
And it
because
shouldn't be too hard for us to live up to. It's not a huge
yeah.
standard. We should be able to do this.
Yeah, no, sincerely, it's just brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, I was saying in the car, like I don't know, I really resonate again with talking with my girlfriend, like I don't know, I just resonate with that with Luke so much. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think you put it perfectly. Like if I had to live in Stars Hollow, that's what I'd
Hmm.
imagine myself being. Yeah. What else can you say, man? Luke's the goat. He's goated.
I don't know who that is.
I don't even know who that is either. That's
You
so
know what?
crazy.
Not looking it up. Have fun in the C tier. I'm sure you were fine.
They really just threw the whole kitchen sink into this.
They really did, which makes me look really bad. Trust me, I did in-depth analysis videos. C tier. Oh my god.
Who's that girl? Oh, she's one of the Chelton crew. Yeah, again, she's
Yeah.
serviceable.
And is this fucking guy who was pining for Rory in college, but like
Oh, maybe he's the one who ended up naked. I can't remember. See, this is just like that college era was like so. It
yeah,
had a lot of good moments. Don't get me wrong. Like I love the college era, but like well, up until she drops out. But yeah, I don't remember any of the
he did
guys.
something weird, right? Like, did he have a girlfriend or something? Like, he was just fucking creepy, though. I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, compared to the one we're about to get to next, I mean, come on, like look at this guy, freaking
Max.
freaking Max Medina, dude, man. It's funny. I think the other day, like I just put on like an episode just to kind of have something in the background, and I remembered his episode where they're at Chilton. It's like Lorelai ends up seeing Max after not seeing him for like quite a while. You know the one I'm talking about?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. It just reminded me how like there was I don't know they didn't get too much out of his character. I don't think I can't remember.
I was annoyed by Max near the end. He's another one who I know is for some reason a fan favorite. I really don't know why, but I never got a lot out of him. He annoyed me.
I can't remember. Well, he is the reason why I think there's all those flowers in the end during that. What was that? The first season? I can't even remember that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just because he's like the first one you're really introduced to. Like, I mean, like outside of Luke, but like Luke is like something that like takes time to grow, and Max is just kind of like it's the free. I guess you never forget the first one. I don't know.
It's just he wasn't like. I think they almost did the best they could do with him because if he was the first one and the show itself is like designed to make us just feel for Luke all over,
Yeah,
like this guy had kind of like the schmuck's job, like we know it's not going to go anywhere because Luke has to come to fruition, I guess. I would put him in C because I don't know how you would have improved him.
yeah. No, that's fair. Not worth spending too much time on.
This guy, okay, I think that the show thinks that he's like way funnier than he actually was.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think Michelle is Michelle is something else, man. Like, yeah, he is. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he has his funny moments, but like, he is not that. Yeah, I don't know. What do you have to say? Because I'm like, I like a loss for words for him.
I I covered this show like uh, I intensely interacted with this show. I never had an interesting thought about Michelle, who was in it from the fucking pilot. Like I never had one interesting thought about him. Not a single
They really
one.
do nothing good with him if you think about it. Like,
No.
sincerely.
Like Kirk is an equally comedic character. I talked about him a few times. It's impossible to ignore him. Michelle, don't have anything. Nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. I, I don't know, dude. Well, like you said, right? Like we live in a post Lorelai society, and I guess every Lorelai wishes they had a kind of like snotty, bratty, you know, friend
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Sincerely, that is the best way to put it. Like, I don't think I could have put it any other way than that.
He's part of the
That's really what it
fantasy
is.
package. Like he's C for me. Like I don't hate him or
Yeah,
whatever.
you know what? That's what it is. Maybe if I was like an older millennial woman or like Gen X woman and lived
Yes.
in the society we do now, I'd understand it. I'd be like, oh, Michelle, like I wish, but yeah, this is like, I don't think his character will really like be seen as that much of like a I don't know, like one of those things. He won't be seen as such like a striking character over time, like as time marches on, as he was maybe when it came out. I don't know what the reception on this character was like when the show initially came out. I can only wonder, but yeah, I just something that doesn't translate as well anymore. I don't know.
No, not at all. Not at all. But for some reason, Gen X women love to almost surround themselves with archetypes that they saw on television. It's interesting.
It
Uh,
is.
this is Miss
Patty though.
Patty.
Patty's great. I really love Patty's character. I think she's
I
great.
do
She is
too.
considering like all the people that populate Stars Hollow. Like I know we've gone through like a bunch of serviceable characters. Like she is one that like really shines. Like she is someone that while there might be like a lot of characters in Stars Hollow that you're like, oh, these are people like I know I'm supposed to have met in real life, or maybe I have. Miss Patty is like, man, I wish I knew her in real life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the big difference between her and the
I
others.
have no issue with B tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Slightly above serviceable. Fucking Greg Henry on this show. Okay.
He plays Logan's father. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, there was good drama between him and Logan. I think it was nice seeing like Logan get kind of spanked by his dad for being too much of a
Yeah.
snotty rich kid.
He was more confrontational to me than Logan ever was. I'll put him a rank above. I'll put him at C.
That's fair. Yeah, no, yeah, definitely above Logan.
Okay, everyone loves Lane's mom. I didn't, dude. I'm not like too sensitive. I think she was just fucking abusive. It went on for seasons,
Yeah,
and it was just so cruel eventually to do to Lane. I know, like I know she has sensitivities and she comes around and all that stuff, but that was after like 3 seasons of trying to shelter this naturally rebellious, like musically inclined young girl from even dating a cute little Jewish boy. Like that's insane to me. I don't
yeah,
know. I
I don't know. I mean, look, I can't speak from that experience. Like, obviously, like I'm not like a Korean girl with like a first
right,
generation immigrant mom.
right.
But, like, I don't know. Yeah, it does. It does feel like a little. It feels like it was untapped. Like I guess like that whole like the whole Lane universe is like largely untapped. Like with like the level of depth that could have be that could have been put into it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
including her mom. So I don't know.
I mean, that said, I mean, I don't hate her character like these
No.
D and F tiers. I mean, Lane's story for Dave and Lane to even work, it needed that sort of conflict. I guess I'm just speaking. I don't find her as likable or as lovable or as adorable as most people do. I think she is an antagonist of the piece for the most part.
Yeah.
But C tier.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard to speak too much on it, but
Uh,
I don't even know who. I don't
is
even know
this
who.
like Luke's X or something? Dude, I don't know. I don't know. Let's just say C tier.
Yeah. Don't know who she
Let's just
is.
say C tier.
Yeah.
They're, they threw everything in here. I should have gone for I think, but I looked at a smaller tier. They didn't have like, they didn't have like Digger or some of the
Yeah.
other ones. But anyways,
Well, even like the biggest like Gilmore Girls fans that like end up seeing this, they're not gonna like, like it's they would understand it, if you're that much of a fan of the show. But okay, well, this is your chance, man. This is Paris.
this is Paris. This is my wife. I'm in love with Paris. Best character ever. I feel like we've been analyzing her through all of the other characters.
Yeah,
I just love her as this incredible invisible girl who just has like so much sensitivity and so much passion, but no truly emotionally beneficial place to put them. I just love everything about her, from Liza Wiles' pitch perfect performance all the way down. Like from the second she appears, commands it. I love her to death. I'm putting her in S tier, obviously.
I agree. Honestly, you sincerely converted me on that, because when I first watched the show, I really, again, I like all my opinions changed. Like, so, as I watched it, like they changed so vastly. But yeah, you converted me, man. Like I hated her character so much, but now I think she's She's like the best. Yeah, I think
I
Paris
think
is
she's
awesome.
secretly like the saddest, like secretly the most vulnerable person on the whole show. But if we're talking
Yeah,
about comedy, she has the funniest fucking parts too. I love
seriously.
her speed dating. I love her speed dating, and the first person who sits down is like, Paris, or did your family travel a lot? That kind of thing. And
Yeah.
she's like, wow, was the last time you had an interesting thought when you considered flinging yourself off a building? Like, it's fucking crazy.
Seriously,
She's
the highs are
amazing.
highs, the lows are lows, man. Like she, it's just so. I agree with you. Like honestly, like seeing it now, it's like you wish like they wrote like a show about her. Like it's so good. Like it's
and
crazy.
and that A Year in the Life, I loved seeing finally like what I'd been wishing to see from, because she has that huge meltdown where she didn't get into Harvard, and I was like
Yeah,
waiting for another moment like that or some sort of closure on her Chilton years. And in A Year in the Life, we get that bathroom scene, which I think is just brilliant and beautiful. The fact that she's carrying around a briefcase that has nothing in it, it's just a prop so that she looks more important than she actually is, or as important as she wishes that she was. And it's the idea that she sees Tristan there, that sets her off, and she feels exactly like the incredible invisible girl she was in high school. Like she's still kind of processing her place within the world, and it's beautiful to see that from someone who seems so outwardly overconfident, but in the inside, it's just a complete destroyed room of
yeah,
privilege and of heartache. Like that's so cool to me.
yeah.
Did so much with her, and it shows how much you can do with comedy too. Like most of what Paris does is comedy, but through comedy, like you rarely, this happens rarely with extremely good comedy writers. Like you get to like this kind of human, this very human place, this fragile place that just exposes, I don't know, the absurd punchline of the universe itself. Wow, that was a bit large, but I think you understand what I mean.
No, Luck did. Yeah, I mean that was like verging into meat riding territory, but I agree
Yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah.
No, like I agree. Yeah, man. I just wish the only thing I wish they gave her a more dignified job in in the reboot. Because I don't remember what it was. It was like it was like this weird comical like IVF thing, but it kind of I don't know. It didn't work
Mm.
out. I don't know. I think that's like the only gripe I have. But I agree with you, man. Yeah, it's great character, fantastic.
That bathroom scene though just makes it all
Oh
worth it.
yeah,
And I was waiting for that kind of
hundred
feeling.
percent, hundred
Um,
percent.
and part of the reason why I didn't like the Doyle or her relationships is like she would tell Rory about like breaking up or getting back together, but we wouldn't be allowed to see that. So we didn't see it. We had to hear it for like secondhand. But finally we do focus in that bathroom on like the interiority of Paris Geller. And I'm like, thank fucking God, because we really didn't get that since her crying about like how she had sex with Jamie and now she doesn't get to go to Harvard and she feels like it's some sort of puritanical cosmic punishment.
Oh yeah, great. Another fantastic scene. Yeah, I saw that the other day too, man. So good.
Oh, so
So good.
good. I don't know. This is
Me neither. It's so crazy.
C tier. Richard.
Richard is so good, man. If he wasn't, if I want to put him in, if he wasn't in A tier, I'd put him almost in S tier. I love the relationship him and Rory have, like how he acts as kind of this like wise figure. I love Richard so much. I love he's like another like low key like very humorous character, like just
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes, it's really endearing to see him in the few moments where he tries to be open-minded, right? Like he
Yeah,
ultimately fails a lot, but he's just so endearing to me. That fucking adorable little bow tie, man. They made him an adorable old man, you
they did.
know?
They really did. And they made him something. I loved seeing the aspect. He just it was such a fucking like dignified, like everything you'd want that kind of character to be like so dignified, so mature, like very wise. Like he had this kind of like penchant for like wanting his granddaughter to go to the same schools. Like I just love it. Like it was all so cute and like all the drama was like so well written. Like it was perfect. Like
I
everything and
thought
more, you know.
the dynamic between these two, Dean and him, were just amazing. It was amazing. We're getting into that like socio-political commentary that I like so much within this. Um, God, their interactions were beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Beautifully confrontational, but beautiful nonetheless. I loved that.
And you really felt it when he passed away too. You were like, damn.
Yep.
I mean, it really hit. It was so incredible.
I believe Edward Ehrman, I think, is the actor's name, and he's kind of brilliant.
He is honestly like really again like what I said earlier about him and Emily like totally slept on part of the show. So good, so good. Um,
Are you
yeah,
ready for the debate of the century?
The worst bitch ever. The worst. I just I hate her.
I love her. I love that I hate her.
Me too, honestly. Like I mean, it's like a love hate. It's a love hate. Um,
When season 4 went there, when she actually slept with Dean and called him my Dean, and Lorelai looking so defeated and so upset, so crushed, and then she even runs outside, like, oh, and that's how the season ends. I'm like, oh my god, this is a teen drama. This
yeah,
is. This isn't like a happy-go-lucky kind of world. We have Rory Gilmore, who has decided to enter her villain era, and I loved it. I loved Rory Gilmore the worst that she got. I
I,
thought it was entertaining to me. It was something to definitely analyze and talk about. I like that they made this young girl with those angelic features so diabolical. Like there's no word
yeah,
for it. Like she was manipulative. She was cruel. You can even argue that in her, not just in her relationships, but friendships. Like opportunist in a lot of different ways. But there is definitely sensitivity within that, and I think that we might see a lot of Gen X in Lorelai, but there's a huge selfishness within millennials.
completely, complete. You said it, that literally you put it brilliantly, man. I mean, it's so funny how in the show Kamikazes it goes from like, oh man, like I love seeing Rory and Lorelai to like, man, fuck Rory, and that's like where like
Mm.
the point of entertainment is for the show alongside with all the other stuff that happens. But yeah, man, I wish I had something kind of witty or smart or insightful to say about like gifted kids because I feel like everybody who talks about Gilmore Girls says something like that. But and it's funny because actually I bought a book or I received it as a gift for Christmas about troubled gifted kids. I wanted to read about it, but yeah, man,
Yes, that actually, yes.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so funny. It's so funny because I remember just speaking on like that hate real quick. Just like I'm just trying to like bury like any insightful thing to say, but like or bury up anything out of my mind because I always feel like at a loss for words when it comes to describing characters or explaining what I like or don't like about them. But like, well, it is funny how that shift kind of happened because it was like throughout the millennial generation, it was like if you go back and look at like hate from millennials has like always been a thing. Like even like through the existence of like the internet and like early blogs, you'll see like millennials dunking on other millennials and like making
Hmm.
fun of each other. And then eventually like the focus became boomers, and now it's kind of like both. I feel like because Gen Z is like we're just kind of here with our hands in our pockets, like man, like fuck both of y'all, and then like everybody hates us. So I mean, it's kind of funny, but yeah, yeah. What can you say about Rory?
And admittedly, millennials can be analytical, but they have no introspection. Like they like she needs a mirror, right? Like she needs to
Yeah,
look inward, obviously, and see that she's her own worst enemy in so many different ways. But Gilmore Girls gives us a complicated universe where she's constantly rewarded for psychotic behavior, which is also like the millennial grind set. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's something to be said. Yeah, because I guess with Zoomers, it would be like the fatal like generational flaw of us is probably like over. If it would be lack of if it would be lack of inward, like if it would be lack of introspection for millennials, I think maybe touching grass would probably be if I was thinking like in a
Oh
dichotomy
yeah,
thing.
you guys are too into it. You guys are like too introspective, whereas
Probably, yeah, like to like I don't know, like maybe verging on like antisocial. I don't know. I heard something the other day about like how many Zoomers still get like their parents to make phone calls for them. Like
wow.
I've known people who are like they're like my age. Like I'm 26 now, and they're like, yeah, I still get my parents to like help me with my car like registration and insurance, and I'm like, you know, I don't know, that's crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, is it that hard to be an adult? I don't know. Millennials kind of complain about that too. We're kind of getting off topic of Rory
Well,
now, but I
but
don't know.
Alexis Bledel, great performance. Rory is important in that respect because I think that she informed millennial women in a huge way, in a
Yeah,
massive way, and I don't think it's a dishonest depiction either. And I think it's even a visually compelling one because like the kind of baby faced angelic qualities coming from this super narcissistic and selfish character.
Yeah,
which I think is also millennial coded as well, or at least the idealized version of what
hundred
millennials
percent.
think that they are.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So for that, yeah, man. I mean, she's I see where you're coming from now about wanting to put her in the S tier because just because of how like prophetic she
Yeah,
was, there's reason to like put her up there. Um, Maybe it's the fact that I don't know. It's with Gen X people. I feel like maybe like like Lorelai. It's easier to kind of like goof on them because like they're almost like so ridiculous. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like there's something about like the way they see humor and stuff like that, and the way like they talk, and like their idea of like what's cool or smart or like transgressive. That's like it's easier to make fun of Gen X people for that. Although millennials leave themselves open on that end too. I don't know. It's yeah. I don't know. How you feeling about
leave
this?
themselves open on it, but it's also just feels more malicious.
Yeah.
Like Rory, you have to think, even though she lacks introspection, that on some level she knows exactly what she's doing.
Well, that's why it's so easy to hate her because you're like, you dumb bitch. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you
Yeah,
like scream at your TV like when you
but like
watch
it's
her.
easy to hate her, but as a design, like I don't agree that there was a downfall of Rory. I think she got way more interesting. Near the end,
Yeah.
everyone was annoying me, like by season 6 and 7, but I loved her in seasons 4 and 5, even though she became. It's so fascinating that one of the main girls became the primary antagonist of her own show.
It's
Like, how do
incredible.
you do that?
It's like almost
It's
like
awesome. And
Shakespearean
Alexis
levels
played
of
it so
yeah.
straight, so just as she played it before. Like it was just ridiculous. I'm gonna do something controversial. I'm not gonna veto. I'm gonna take Jess down.
Okay.
Direct all your
You know what?
hate
I
comments to me.
I don't even hate you for that because by vetoing Jess, it's like because Jess is like he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that we've talked so much about Rory, like it just
Yeah,
it explains itself like as to why
there's something
she's so
there, and I
stable.
think that people miss the. Like, you were supposed to hate her, right? Like
Right.
that's not like a flaw of the show, right? And I see like video essays about the downfall of Rory, but that's how she was designed. And then you have to ask, like, why was she designed to be like that? Like, why is it so much more cruel now that she's an adult than when she was a teenager playing with these boys' emotions, kind of thing? And it is, and you have to take in what you were saying, the gifted kids thing. She's hyper intelligent, so she has to be intelligent enough
Yeah.
to know what she's doing, destroying lives here and there, being so selfish, and then getting a happy ending regardless.
No, you're right. What you're spitting is like a high IQ take on her because if anybody is out there saying, like, oh, she's just like I hate her character and that's it, like that's like a real like that to me that's like a very like pseudo intellectual take just to say that you hate her like it's negating like so much about her character like what you
Yeah,
mentioned like like being very gifted and like all the troubles that come with that and like how she was raised and yeah I mean it's just there's so much depth in it and it's so fantastic so I heavily agree with you on all of that yeah.
and I think teen dramas are like nostalgic experiences when you rewatch them. And I think you're supposed to watch Rory with Jess, for instance, and be like all these different instances where she could have ran away with him or been with him and may have turned out a bit differently, a bit more genuinely or authentically. But of course, she doesn't. And neither did you, viewer. You didn't either. Like,
Yeah,
this is. Gilmore, she's the only truly confrontational character of Gilmore Girls. Like, she's the only one who could be transplanted to the Degrassi universe or any other universe where they stab each other in the back. She's, to me, a true teen drama character.
100%, 100%.
Cookie, I like her more than Jackson. Um, and not like a huge fan of Melissa McCarthy, but she does have some pitch perfect comedic timing. Um,
That's I feel the same way. Like I hate I have like a bad uh association with her, seeing like how
yeah.
much garbage she's been in, but which is unfortunate because you see like her real capabilities like in this show. Like you see like her acting ability in this show. And you're like, wow, like she does it so well, and like this character
Mhm.
is like so, fun and cute. I again like such like a real kind of thing for like I've seen like so many like moms that like have like a friend kind of like Sookie, and it just annoys
I
the
was
hell out of me.
gonna go there. Yes, like she plays into the Lorelai fantasy. Like so much of this is like fantasy wish fulfillment for
Yes,
women, I believe. And you
100%.
need a Michelle, you need a Sookie if you're gonna be that independent, like super intelligent Gen X coffee drinker.
Yeah. Oh man, I just
Like
you even saying that like it makes me pissed off. But yeah, like I agree with you. Like that it is truly like wish fulfillment and it's so annoying. Um
where in retrospect, I don't think anyone wanted a friend like Paris Geller. So I don't. Rory wasn't really doing the same thing.
no, in retrospect, people should be watching this like, "Oh my gosh, like what is this? Like is this real? Like did people actually want this?" Like it just goes to show like how deluded like people must have been. I don't know, like we had it too good, I guess, but
So I think I'll
um
put her like C tier though, because even at her best, she's there to prop up Lorelai. You
yeah.
know, like she doesn't have enough autonomy of her own, and when they afford her and Jackson their moments, to be honest, they're boring. They're not well designed moments.
Look, that's what it is, because people will say, oh, but how about, she was such a good friend to Lorelai, or she did this and she was always there. I don't care because all of it's fake anyways, and it's about how much
Hmm.
enjoyment I got out of her character, which was compared to the other characters, it just wasn't there. So to me, that's what it's about, and I agree with you. So um,
I don't know who this is.
I don't know who that is either. Yeah,
C tier,
probably some DAR girl or like related to, I can't remember.
and here's
Um,
TJ.
TJ. I just remember him from the escrow, line, and that was pretty much it.
Sounds like a good line. Tristan Dugray.
And well,
Um,
you said your piece on him,
Said my piece on him. I think the best episode of Gilmore Girls and one of the most interesting episodes of teen drama ever is season 2, episode 9, Runaway Little Boy, where he was leaving to go join Dawson's Creek, and like the character, like himself, was throwing a fucking temper tantrum because all this build up and he doesn't get to do any of it. And it's just so beautiful. It's so postmodern and deep, and like talk about all the meta qualities of the show. I think that episode nails it so heavily.
Yeah.
Um, I think that episode is the best of Gilmore Girls, but like the whole point of Tristan's character is that he's a failed one. So like he's top of the B tier for me personally, or underneath Lane on the B tier, because like what makes him so poetic to me and so interesting is that he didn't get to fulfill any of his basic requirements that he was designed to.
Yeah. No, you would be. You could not find a character written into a situation like that. That's like that high level, like now, because that kind of like time that she was on, that like Amy was on, like thinking about uh how that character like interacts in that world and like writing the character out of it like that. I mean, like that's just now from like a generation of like writers who probably grew up. I don't know. I'm assuming like watching like YouTube video essays. Like that's just something I don't think you'd be able to achieve as easily. That's such a like a for like that level of like television, like you just don't find it. I mean, like that's so good. Like that essay, like when I watched it, I was really like blown away. That's one where I was like, again, like you have such a great ability to point out so many of the fantastic moments from this show, and it just changes my perspective each time. So
Thank you,
yeah,
thank you, thank you. That's a video that I'm actually proud of.
I love it.
It was so interesting. So, and of course, Chad Michael Murray, fucking
It's the
teen
goat.
drama king. Um, 2 C tiers. I do like the Troubadour. He's always fun to see.
Yeah, the troubadour is just kind of there. He's like, he's all right. I think it's cute. I think they do one episode with him really, and that's it. But fucking Zach, dude, ending on a stinker, man. I'm just not a big
I
fan of
thought the
Zach.
F tier was looking pretty lonely, didn't you?
Oh, you read my mind. That's brilliant. Ah,
He didn't have to suck if Dave's if they just it's not Dave leaving. It's you could have continued a good Lane story even with Dave gone. They just didn't decide to. They decided not to. And Zach became like the symbol or the ultimate momentum of destroying Lane Kim, who is really important and precious to me. He is everything about what went wrong with Lane Kim. He didn't have to be terrible. I liked him as just the guitar player of the band who was goofy. I didn't
yeah.
It's so lazy to make him the next Lane romantic idea.
It's always the worst men with the best girls, you know. So what can you say?
Well, let me full screen this for a second. I'm not going to focus too much on positions, but I did sneak Paris Geller to the top of this entire list.
She deserves it. She's really the queen.
And then Luke, and then Lorelai, and then Rory, and then A tier. A tier's looking good. I mean, SAB looks pretty good to me.
I love it. I honestly love this. I think we killed it, man. I think you killed it. I
Difficult to go
wish
through, Steve, but this is what makes Upstart. This is the community, and like they were all serviceable, they're all nice. D disappointing, all, and I think prohibited the show from being like truly great in parts where it was lacking. F,
100%.
fuck them, fuck them so much. They're they're not it.
Man, I wish we had like an encyclopedic like knowledge of the show just to go even deeper. But yeah, I mean, I think even then, like everything about this was perfect, and I had a really fun time.
I had a really fun time too. I warned you going in, like I don't know at least 30% of the people,
Right.
and I tried to like refresh my memory, but my God, there really are just so many characters on this show. I wouldn't have remembered even if I refreshed myself on it.
It's hard, and I was going with Gilmore Girls because I was like, it's been even longer since I've watched Dawson's Creek, and I was like, I'm trying to remember if I could even remember most of the plot points. Well, funny enough, I do remember like a lot of plot points from that show and like how things went, but and like the overarching story, I remember that a little bit better, I think. But yeah, I mean,
I love my conversations with you because we go really deep. If we did Dawson's Creek, we'd still be halfway done, and
no,
we would
yeah,
have only talked
exactly.
about Dawson and Jen, like
I,
for the,
I
you
couldn't
know.
even like, dude, Dawson's Creek is so like deep for me, like it's crazy. Like it's insane. Like it's just one of those like weird. You know, it's funny today. I've been having so many weird synchronicities happen recently, and I went into Sprouts to go get some groceries, and as soon as I went in, they were playing the theme song over the speakers, and I was like, "What the
Yeah,
fuck is happening?" It's
Paula
just
Cole.
so weird,
No,
but.
I really enjoyed doing this with you. Thank God you did this one with me. Gilmore Girls. It's for some reason it's like it's almost intimidating to approach, and it was when I was doing the videos for it, because it's hard to analyze comedy, and like it is truly comedy first. It's a
Yeah,
comedy romance, and it's sometimes hard to analyze comedy because the whole point is when you explain why a joke is funny, you kill the joke, and like it's defeatist method of analyzing something. But I think we were able to provide insight in an entertaining way, and hopefully said some fun things for people to think about or reconsider or hate us over.
I agree, man. You know, look, if there's been one thing that like I really realized, it's like, well, you know, you might be right about like the whole like dissecting a joke, but you know, it's like Amy is what I've realized through like your dissection of it, and I don't think anybody does it better for Gilmore Girls than you do. And I think that you do that better than a lot of people on when it comes to film and TV in general. But with Gilmore Girls specifically, it's like you've really been able to illuminate like how brilliant and masterful the show is. Because to me, there's just so much I missed the first time going through it, and now even as I rewatch it, I'm not even getting until like I hear you talk about it in a certain way, and I'm like, it's crazy. She really, Amy really,
Yeah.
it is the way Terry Gilliam does like comedy and political themes and
Oh,
all these
that's a
things to
cool
me.
pull. That's cool.
Say it again.
That's a cool pull. That's a cool. Go on. No, that's a cool thing to. That's a cool person to compare her to.
Yeah, no, I just feel like, well, because he does it a little bit more. Like he still has like those like he has like runoff of like Monty Python in his in his stuff, but the level of like depth, you know, how deep he plunges in his work, I think can be compared to what Amy did with Gilmore Girls. I mean, obviously, I think she was like a little bit more restrained when it came to some of the things she wanted to do and like you know her ideal like outcome, and that's just you know the you know the card she got dealt. But yeah, when it comes to like real just like shit that resonates even to this day, like stuff that's like so true, like she just taps into it, man. Like, and I
Yeah.
haven't seen that even with Dawson's Creek. Like I love Dawson's Creek for other reasons, but what I don't think of like real when I think of Dawson's Creek. Like I think of something else. Like I think Kevin was trying to do something different with the story, and the characters, served a different purpose. It was just, but
Dawson's Creek is almost like philosophy forward for me. So we get
yeah.
into like theory and all sorts of stuff there. With Gilmore Girls, it's just well, before we end this, what do you attribute its longevity to? Like, I know that Gen X and millennials will always return to it, but it has a talent of attracting new fans, like new viewers to it, that not a lot of other shows seem to possess. Like what does Gen Z see in this? Do you have any idea? Any musings?
Well, I don't know. I feel like it would be easier to answer if I was like a Gen Z girl, but um, how do I say this?
My channel would be really easy to do if I was a Gen Z girl.
I know, I know. It's never too late for us, honestly.
Right?
I'll say this. Well, I'll say this. My girlfriend watching it with them, we are pretty much eye to eye when it comes to things we hate and the things we like about the show. So I don't think it's, at least in my experience. Okay, I'm gonna like say this, and I'm gonna trust that my girlfriend will nod her head if I'm on like the right note here, or if I'm saying the right thing, or if like I'm getting like the idea across appropriately. I feel like, and you'll just have to bear with me. I know you're on a time limit, but I'm just trying to finish up this thought, so I apologize.
It's all good.
There are parts of the show aesthetically I think young people enjoy, specifically Gen Z girls. The fall, like Connecticut, kind of like Y2K, the aspect of it that young people like. Um, but I think I feel like, I think this is what I'm trying to say. I feel like a lot of Gen Z girls, such as ourselves, not us being Gen Z girls, but
Yeah.
us, people who enjoy the show, uh, they share like the same level of like hatred for certain characters that we do. Like they see what's annoying about like Rory, they see what's annoying about Lorelai, and I don't know, it just feels like something that maybe they're able to like connect to like within their own life. Like I don't know. I'm not doing like a very good job at explaining this, but like it's just that when they wrote these characters, there was something about how real they were, like transcending into like the time that we're in now. And like anybody who's Gen Z, I think, look, I was able to see why like they're funny and they're well written, and like
Mhm.
why they can be annoying. And so I think it makes sense that, especially for a show like written for women, that like Gen Z woman would be like attracted to it. You know what I'm saying? Because if
Yeah.
it's real and if it's directed towards women, then it makes sense that Gen Z woman would like it nowadays, I guess. I don't know, for the same reasons that I might like it. And they're even more perceptive to like a lot of the things Amy was leaving in there for the girls than probably we'd be perceptive on. If that makes sense. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
for
That was kind
sure,
of like
for
a terrible
sure.
mishmash of an idea, but hopefully, I think that kind of explains as to why it's been around for like a hot minute. That, and because it's been around for such a short amount of time. Like it's only been around for like a little bit, and we're just now having the next generation of people kind of come to enjoy
Right.
the show. But other than that, I think the other people who are propping it up are like wine moms, like sitting at home
Yeah.
like
Oh
watching
yeah.
it.
Of course. Of course. No, I found value in your explanation for sure,
Yeah,
but I
I'm
am
not.
gonna cut.
I can't do it as good as you do with Gilmore Girls, but hopefully that reached like at least half the level. So
Oh no, I think it exceeded it, but I do have to cut the video here.
I
Thank you
guess.
so much, Jupiter. Thank you. You're
Thank you, bro.
wonderful.
You're the best. You're the goat.
No,